Hello and welcome to another roundtable discussion. My name is Russell Bundy. I am the Director of Partnerships at GatherVerse and founder of Just Verify. Monet's like, yeah, hell yeah. And in this roundtable discussion, we're going to have a discussion around women's health autonomy, what it means in a technology advanced era. And today I have two superb guests with me. This kind of feels like a fireside chat, to be honest, but hey, I'm all here for it. So we'll start with you, Ellie. If you want to do a quick introduction yourself, obviously why you're here, and then Monet will go over to you after.
So, hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here on this panel, Fireside Chat. My name is Ellie Boahen. I'm a cyborg anthropologist and technology ethicist based here in New York City. I'm excited to be here to talk about women's health when it comes into technology development, consent, and our data.
Amazing. That was very quick introduction. And also, by the way, why are you here as well? Like, I'd love to hear, what brought you here today to join us on this roundtable discussion as well.
Yeah. So my main project right now has been on proliferating technology literacy. So a project that I'm running is called 20-Minute Tech Tutor, where I have been teaching technology foundations to older adults at a low cost.
Oh, wow.
So that it's really accessible and so that older adults are able to get things that some folks might be too impatient to teach them, some things that they might be embarrassed to ask about because it seems too basic. And that's what I've been doing in my community. And I wanted to be here for this women's health conference because I am a woman and I have had to navigate health situations. And when it comes to technology literacy, consent, and access, women's health is at the wrong end of that intersection, being hurt by all of those things.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ali. And Monet, good to see you again. Quick introduction from yourself and also, why you're here today as well.
Thank you. Great to see you as well. I'm excited to be here today and dive into this important conversation about women's health, technology, and autonomy. And for those who don't know, I'm Monet Wright, founder of Let Me Ask Monet, and a passionate advocate for tech accessibility, cybersecurity, and digital transformation, especially career pivots. And when it comes to empowering marginalized community, that's really where my heart lies. And my work bridges the gaps between career development, AI ethics, and cybersecurity, ensuring that technology is working for all of us and not against us. And really, technology has completely changed how women access healthcare and health information. And we've got AI-powered diagnostics and, period tracking apps and telehealth. And all the things that are there to supposed to be put the control more in our hands. But let's be real, the access does not always equal equity. So today I'm here to break down what's really happening behind the scenes, the risks, the biases, and the gaps in those technologies that we need to address now and not later. Because if we're not at the table building, funding, and designing those solutions, then we're one of the ones that are going to be left out. So we're definitely here to dive into that, and let's get into it today.
Yes, definitely, Monet, and it's great to have you with us as well once again. And but by the way, did you say obviously what brought you here today, or why are you what made you come here today, Monet?
Yes, women's healthcare and health access, because the way that we are projecting that the healthcare and technology is going to merge and expand as we grow, we definitely need to have a conversation about ethics and AI ethics, especially. So I'm excited to dive into that more today.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, thank you for joining us, Monet. And again, a quick introduction for myself. My name is Russell Bundy. I'm the Director of Partnerships at GatherVerse and also the founder of Just Verify as well. And we're going to get straight into the roundtable discussion. So this roundtable discussion in particular is women's health autonomy, what it means in a technology advanced era. So we'll start with the first question, which is how has technology transformed women's access to healthcare and health information? Monet, you're nodding your head, so we'll start with you, and then we'll go over to you after, Ellie.
Perfect. Thank you. So technology has put health knowledge directly into women's hands, and that's literally with everything being accessible on our phones and tablets and, our our phones and tablets and our laptops as well. So with telemedicine, we have the AI powered diagnostics and the period tracking apps, like I mentioned earlier, women can use to monitor their own health and access specialists from anywhere in the world and really be able to advocate for themselves more using that data. But while the access has really improved, it's the equity that really hasn't caught up. So too many women, especially in marginalized communities, are still facing barriers to digital healthcare. And something that I experienced recently that's also an issue that we have to discuss is really the lag between the different systems that are not able to communicate with themselves. And that also causes a delay to like access medication services, assistance, etc.
No, I completely agree with you there. And also, I think there's, potentially when it comes to the data and also the data in which, potentially technology is trained upon, and also, how has it transformed it? Like, I mean, if you have the right data that trains the right AI, then that will change things, right? But if you have the wrong data that trains the wrong AI, guess what? It's not going to help. So, literally, that's the bottom line right there. So, Ellie, what are your thoughts on this? Please join us in this conversation.
Yeah, definitely. So technology has transformed women's health in a huge amount of ways. Number one, access, like we talked about, being able to find doctors, being able to visit doctors virtually. Also, on the end of being able to verify doctors within your own community, knowing which doctors are safe and unsafe to go to, be it for marginalized communities of women or not, you know which doctors might be a little weird, to put it lightly. On top of that, technology adapted to women's bodies, or being more open about conversation of different tools that help women's bodies. For example, I've been loving this product, which is a breast pump for nursing mothers that is shaped similar to a breast, which makes it more comfortable to hold and feed to a baby at the same time. So you're able to pump in a mobile way and also able to feed your baby. And this is where having the folks who are experiencing these things in the room is super helpful for designing. So technology has increased access to technology, increased safety for some folks, as well as tools that are adapted to make the lives of various women easier.
Well, and just a quick side question: which specific technology do you think has kind of like helped the most out of all? Is there anything in particular that you can think of the top of your head that might, be sort of even more helpful than something else? For example, like for example, AI could be more helpful than the metaverse, for example. That's just a hypothetical. So, is there anything in particular you can think of?
I can't think of them in a hierarchical sense because they're all important to various women depending on what they need and looking for. The one that's excited me the most has been the mobile breast pump, because I have been an educator with early childhood care. I know mothers, I've worked with mothers, and I know how disenfranchising and isolating it can be to find a comfortable place to nurse, being asked to nurse inside of a closet or pump inside of a closet. And so that piece of technology really excites me because it's actually saying, let's have a conversation about this thing that gets very stigmatized and very looked upon weirdly. So that's one that makes me very excited to see made, but looking at them hierarchically, I haven't really ranked them.
It seems like all of them are fundamental from the sounds of it. It's like, okay, it's not just one individual piece of technology or product. Is like, no, it's all of them across the board, all 50 or 60 or however many of them there are. I don't know how many there are. So
exactly, it's the spectrum of health, and so you can't really hierarchize them. But yes,
no, thank you for sharing that, Ellie. And Renee, I'm going to fire the next question at you, which is, what risks do emerging technologies pose to women's health autonomy, particularly in data privacy? Very interesting question.
Yes, great question. So the real aspect of it all is that our health data is definitely a gold mine, and companies are making sure that they're cashing in. So we're talking about back to the period tracking apps, fertility platforms, and even smartwatches. All that technology is collecting sensitive data, very sensitive data, and often without full transparency on how it's being used. And that is something that we have to really advocate for more transparency from these companies that we're entrusting with our data. And the real danger is the fact that the data can be weaponized. So we've already seen cases where health data has been used against women in legal cases. And without those strong protections and ethical tech development, privacy is at a serious risk, but then it's also taking that sensitive data and weaponizing it in courtrooms and legal cases.
Right. First of all, I didn't even know that was happening. That's crazy.
Yes, that's why transparency is so important. We need an itemized list of what it's going to be used for and how it's going to be used.
Yeah, that's actually shocked me. I haven't got words for that. I think, yeah, that's just wrong in so many ways. But anyway, no, I completely agree with you. And in terms of let's talk about some other emerging technologies, right? I mean, obviously, we talk about AI a lot, but what about some other emerging technologies? For example, on the last panel, we was talking about blockchain, right? So, for example, in that side of things, how could that pose a risk to women's health autonomy, and particularly the data privacy side? For example, because I could give you a very simple example, where blockchain is visibly publicly available, as in you can see it transparently. Again, I'm just kind of pushing that out there, but what are your thoughts on it, Monet?
Yeah, great question. I would definitely say that we need to make sure that with any technology that is being developed, because they're all going to have instances where, there's not going to be that transparency there. But the more that we are including, we meaning us and women, we have to be at those tables. We have to be developing that technology, and we have to be on those boards and in those rooms and spaces where they're going to be talking about what is going to be happening with the data that women are providing. Because at the end of the day, a lot of tech jobs are really going for the males and looking for them to develop the apps and all that stuff, but women can also code, women can also design applications, and women should be included at that table where they're making those crucial decisions.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Ellie, what's your thoughts on this discussion so far?
Yeah, so emerging technologies can pose a lot of benefits, especially for one's health. But in terms of autonomy and privacy, it is terrifying. Like what you had learned today about period tracking app data being used to prosecute some women. For those of you who are not familiar, menstrual cycles can vary from individual to individual. Some people have more irregular cycles, some people have more regular cycles. By using that data about your cycles, authorities with that data can be able to see when you have missed your period, when you have had a gap. So individuals who might have irregular cycles and that knowledge not being more proliferated might become persecuted because there is data that seems unfamiliar to folks. So this is talking about women's health education, even before we get into the privacy and autonomy. Having period tracking apps being so essential, especially to women with endometriosis, PCOS, other reproductive issues, they rely upon tracking apps in order to manage their lives, because some of these conditions invoke debilitating pain, meaning that they have to reschedule plans, meaning that they have to work their lives around these health conditions, and period tracking apps helps them manage that. So it is a health condition they're trying to manage, except they don't have many options that don't give their data to third-party individuals that they have no knowledge of. So they don't have that full autonomy because they rely upon health tools to live, similar to parents might not have autonomy because they rely upon certain apps to manage their children, or the whole nursing mother sort of situation. So technology can help women, but we have to really evaluate what are women's health issues and how that autonomy is being taken away as the data goldmine, as Monet put it. And when you mentioned blockchain earlier before, blockchain can be really cool, except that privacy. It's an open network. Access barriers, right?
Yeah.
If you are in a remote location, and often when we say remote location, some might think of the global south, but I'm thinking of rural America. You might not have access to regular internet. You might not have the knowledge of blockchain. You just want to make sure that you're okay. So emerging tech can be really awesome, but let's meet the individuals where they are and develop technology and tools around them and give them the ability to consent or not consent.
Agreed. And I will speak on the blockchain side quickly. There are two sides to the blockchain. You've got the public blockchain, but then you've also got the private blockchain. So can you have blockchain private, or can you have it privately? Yes, but you have to have the correct blockchain to do that. You can't just go onto Solana or Ethereum or Flow or what else is there? Avalanche. I mean, you can't go to any of these blockchains and just go, all right, hey guys, let's use this public blockchain, and then your data is out there everywhere, and everyone's like, whoa, I can see your data now. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to use the technology, obviously, like you said, it's got to be used in the correct way and in the correct process of doing it, and having the right system, involved with that. So, but to your point, Elliot, I completely agree with what you're saying. And there should be a way in which you can accept or not accept, or being able to know what is, where your data is going, what's happening with your data, and, how it's being used as well. So let's go on to another question now, which is, how can AI and healthcare, and this is your question, Monet, because I know you like AI so much, like me. So how can AI and healthcare technology empower women to take more control over their health decisions? So Monet, over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. So AI definitely has the power to personalize healthcare for sure. So it has the power, for instance, predicting health risks and recommending tailored treatments. But the empowerment isn't just about AI doing the work. It's about women having control over their own health data, and being transparent again with what's happening to that data, and then AI decisions being decisions and why they reach those decisions being very transparent, and even medical professionals actually listening to the woman's concerns and not just falling back on AI. And it's funny because I can talk about this one instance where I was meeting with my doctor and I was asking about a serious concern that I was having. And when he turned his screen to me, I could tell that he was on WebMD. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also like, I mean, I could have looked it up on WebMD.
Oh my God.
What am I paying for? So, it's things like that. And then, you just have to make sure that with AI, it definitely should be used as a tool for informed decision-making, not just a replacement for a woman's autonomy. You definitely have to listen to the women, have us in the room, and make sure that, there's transparency and you're being aware of everything that is going into play when it comes to, especially that data recommending some type of tailored treatment for you, because an AI is just not human. It doesn't have that human element fused into it yet, I guess. So that's where that's where we're at right now. Right.
I think the AI can help empower in a lot of ways. Again, like how you're saying, it's the data, but then also at the same time, it's kind of like, how the person uses it too, right? And if they use it in the correct way, then it can be very beneficial. But if you use it in the wrong way, well, then it won't be, right? And sometimes when people have mental health problems, they can use it in the wrong way, and it makes their mental health even worse. And then all of a sudden you go down this rabbit hole, and then you're just,
exactly. It's like a bad WebMD or Google search. It can be as simple as, a cut or a scrape, or you have like cancer or something.
Yeah. So I definitely agree. Like, it's how it's used, what the data is, and also, is it being used in the right way as well? Like, as in, when it comes to ethics and safety and fairness and bias and all these different AI, categories which go into AI and AI responsibility. What else is there? There's a bunch more. But all of that said, across the board, if it's used in the right way, it can be beneficial. If it's not used in the right way, it's not. So, and Ellie, let's bring you into this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think AI can do one of the greatest empowering things, which is believing people, allowing for people to be heard and accessing that information. I mean, Monet has touched upon this multiple times, but I'll reference a recent article that my mentor Art Chang sent to me, which is a woman saying ChatGPT saved her life. Basically, her platelets were extremely low, and her doctor wouldn't be able to look at it for a few days. And had she waited that amount of time, she would have been dead. But she was able to give her medical information, look it over with AI, and the AI actually gave her exactly what to say when she walked into the emergency room. Now, yes, there is a data privacy concern of giving your medical charts to an AI model, but if we had more personalized AI models and tools that allowed for people to get medical advice that's tailored to their health, that is amazing. I mean, most famously, or famously for me, that I talk with my friends about very often, is that strokes look differently in women than they do in men's bodies. So
Right.
if a woman is experiencing a stroke, there might be symptoms that get overlooked because you're looking for symptoms that are more common in a man.
Okay.
Mhm.
So no, well, so I guess maybe just a point on what can you give me like sort of just like, I guess one example of what that might be? For example, is it that their face is not slightly slanted? Is it like something else? Like what is it in particular like you kind of like looking for just quickly?
Yeah, so some of that can be the woman might be speaking clearly, but she might seem just foggy brained or just
Got
tired.
you.
It
Got
might
you.
be something as simple as like more of a headache, right? So there might be some of those common characteristics of a stroke, but there are less common characteristics like um, I normally have a card with me on hand that I always talk with friends about, but there are characteristics within extreme health conditions like heart attacks, strokes that present differently in women symptomatically than in men. But more often
Okay.
than not, we're trained to look at those symptoms within cisgendered male bodies, right?
Got you. Got
Because
you.
that's what the medical data is built upon. Through
Yeah.
AI, we're able to feed the latest research on women's health into AI models and allow for women to be able to actually have their concerns taken seriously and
Sure.
look at it from the lens of, oh, this is how this often presents in a woman.
Okay. Interesting. And Monet, just to bring you back into the conversation now. My next question for you is what ethical concerns arise when technology companies collect and use the women's health data? We've just spoke about obviously protecting women's data and using it in the correct way and or not using it at all or even not even taking the data. So how do we you know collect and use women health data? Like how do the technologies companies do that in like basically what are the ethical concerns to that basically?
Definitely, I would say what we've talked about over and over again is exploitation. So women's health data is often collected under the guise of helping, but it's then sold, shared, and used for profit. And the lack of regulation and consistent driven consent driven models means women often have no control over how their data is used. And if you're profiting off of women's health without giving them control, then the companies that are doing that are definitely part of the problem. So it's really the exploitation and operating under that guise that they're looking to help. But often it's just tactic that they're using to collect and utilize our data for things that we didn't even advocate for or didn't agree to, whether we read the terms and conditions or not.
That is true. That is true. A lot of times we don't even read the terms and conditions, right? We just kind of skim past them and go, "Yep, all right, whatever." And then the next thing you know, your data's being used somewhere else, and then it's going somewhere. And then the next thing you know, you're like, "Okay, well, how have I got this random person ringing me from halfway across the world, who I
Yep.
don't even know who that person is?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think when it comes to sort of the ethical concerns, when technology companies collect and use the women's health data, right? It has to be used in if you are going to collect the data, it has to be used in the right way, as in for healthcare reasons, not
Mm-hmm.
sell that data to the third party, for example, right?
Exactly.
So Ellie, let's bring you into this as well. What are your thoughts in terms of the ethical concerns arising when technology companies collect and use women's health data.
Yes. And before I get into that, I will give the women's stroke thing. It was a chance, as in CHANTS. So chest pain, hiccups, a racing heartbeat, nausea, tiredness or sudden fatigue, and shortness of breath. So I always say chance. That's very helpful on top of fast, or be fast is the regular one to look for. So new fun fact for you all to make sure to take care of folks if they're having a stroke.
Thank you for teaching me.
Of course. And getting back into ethical concerns with tech companies collecting women's data, I mean, Monet kind of covered a vast majority of it. It's consent. It's consent. It's consent, consent. And I will say this forever within my technology ethics work. Women's health is... we need more data on it for research, but I assure you that if we actually had transparent conversations about where the data is going, who's researching it, right? How long is it being stored for? We would be able to find out way more about women's health and help more women if we actually had transparent conversations about it. And it's not just a want. In some cases, it is a need. It is going to be a legal conversation about how that data might be used by different individuals. So tech companies might be collecting the data from a perspective of, we want to make our AI model better. We want to make our physical technology better. But having those conversations with the people using the technology about where that data is being held, collected, what's the security around it in case of a data breach, we need to be more upfront we need to be more transparent with each other about how that data is being used to better things overall.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. And I'm just thinking as well, like, when it comes to, protecting the data or keeping it secure, or, the thing is, like, when it comes to sort of like the personalized AI, right, and having like your own AI version of you and stuff like that, like, do you want your own personal AI assistant, so to speak, to know your healthcare data, for example, right? Like, these are different questions which, like, I know I'm talking about sort of like emerging technology and AI and kind of like how everything is changing, but we're going to get to a point where each of us is going to have our own personal assistant, so to speak, right? Or our own personal AI that goes with us. So I guess my question to you, Ellie, is do we want like that personal AI assistant to have our healthcare data, or do we not, want it to have that? Like, as in, like, we still want to consent, we still want to make sure we control our data, or do we want it to have our data because it's like, okay, well, this is my companion, like, this is the person that goes with me everywhere, right, in terms of AI. So, and I know it's a bit of a side question, and I might be just firing this at you, but I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on that.
I appreciate the question, and my answer is we should be able to have the option to choose whether or not to. I know for me, with my various health conditions that I navigate, I would love to have a personal assistant that knows my health information. For example, if I'm writing and it seems like my brain is lagging or something like that, they can tell, oh, you have this rate of typos, but this rate of typos that you're sending in to me or saying shows that there might be something going wrong here and we should tap in, right? That would be really awesome. But that's something that I would consent to. And that's something that I would understand, that this assistant who's helping me write this essay will also have information upon my past medical history. So overall, it's basically a network of permission gates that people should be allowed to open or close at any time.
And by the way, I just want to say welcome, Megan. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to do a quick, there's a little mute button down at the bottom. There's like there'll be like a little microphone. There you go. You're with us now. So Megan, do you want to introduce yourself quickly and just tell us who you are, and then we can ask you a question as well.
Hi, I'm Megan, that cannot tell time. We've had a time change here in California, and I apologize for being late. I thought I was early. Ladies, thank you so much. I've been listening for a few minutes, and I got to tell you, I'm relieved. I was listening to the conference earlier this morning, and I'm so grateful that we have this defense, about kind of an offense, defense, balance, hot, cold, yin, yang, love, hate with
Mhm.
the AI.
Yeah.
I'm a holistic health practitioner.